One of the more exciting times for me as an NBA fan, more specifically a Bulls fan, is the day in which the NBA announces their schedule for the upcoming season, which the NBA did on Friday, which, yes, I know I'm a little delayed on this, but I had some other videos that I wanted to come out first. And this year, specifically because the Bulls actually have an exciting roster to watch, it'll make it all the more exciting to see how the schedule shakes out. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about some of the key games to be on the lookout for, or at least what I'm excited to see, and how I think this can shape out the Bulls season overall. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Guys, in case you missed it, in the community post announcement, we did have a winner for our grand prize giveaway, in which I'll be sending one of you to the United Center this season with tickets to a game. And out of 433 people who sent me a message via Instagram or Twitter with the phrase "get me to the United Center," the name selected from the generator was Landon Donley. Landon, huge congrats, my man. It was great chatting with you earlier, and hope you enjoy the game. Hopefully the Bulls can get a win for you. But with that said, let's talk about the Bulls schedule that was released. So first and foremost, maybe not necessarily a marquee matchup, but the Bulls will be taking on the Detroit Pistons for their season opener in Detroit on October 20th. Now, this will actually be an exciting game. One, because it's the Bulls' first game of the season, but also because even though the Pistons aren't expected to be a good team this year, they did land the #1 pick and selected the expected generational talent in Cade Cunningham. So the Bulls will get their first chance anyway to get a look at a young phenom in regular season play as he makes his NBA debut. And I was thinking about this one more because they're playing the Pistons, who aren't a good team, but they'll be fun to watch again because they have Cunningham, they have some other young up-and-coming players, but this should be an easy win for the Bulls. And I have to emphasize should, because I think all of us Bulls fans are a little mentally scarred from last season, in which we lost so many games that we thought would be easy wins. Hopefully this won't be the case this year, but in any event, it got me thinking, the Bulls haven't won a season opener in a while. And in fact, it's been a long time since at any point the Bulls have had an above 500 record. And of course, our very own analytics guru, Rob Schaefer, then comes out with a tweet as I'm thinking about this that gives us the exact details. And yes, it turns out the last season opener that the Bulls won was in 2016, which was the game that D. Wade played in his Chicago homecoming against the Celtics. And then the last time the Bulls were above 500 at any point in a season was on March 2nd, 2017, in that same season in which the Bulls finished at 500 and with the 8th seed in the playoffs, and of course went on to lose the first round against the Celtics in 6 games. So it would be something for Bulls fans to see them win their first game and be an above 500 team in nearly 5 years, but I'm not going to get our hopes up just yet. Then the Bulls will be heading back to Chicago for their home opener on Friday, October 22nd, against none other than the Pelicans, which I don't think it was a coincidence that the NBA put this game together for their home opener, and facing the team that the Bulls traded with in free agency to land Lonzo Ball. And this will be a fun game to watch just because, well, you get to see Lonzo go against his former team. That, and you also get to see Zion Williamson as well. Not only that, but you also get to see the return of Tomas Satoransky and Garrett Temple playing in a Pelicans uniform. I'm sure the United Center is going to be hyped that night, getting to see the new look Bulls for the first time in regular season play. Now, if you look at the Bulls schedule to start off this season, what's interesting is that for the first time in a while, they kick off the season with a relatively easy schedule, which you have to love to see if you're a Bulls fan, because it would be huge for the Bulls to get off to a strong start just for their confidence, even if it is against weaker teams. Again, the Bulls have not been a winning team in nearly 5 years, so just to be able to jumpstart the season, say, kicking it off 4-0 or even 5-0, as I personally think the Bulls will be a better team than the Knicks, I think that can do wonders for this team's confidence. Then the Bulls will really get their first test against the Jazz at home on October 30th, which will then be followed up by the Celtics and back-to-back games against the Sixers. And then, of course, one of the games I'll be looking out for is against the Brooklyn Nets on November 8th. This will be the Bulls' first nationally televised game, which I know a lot of people call, maybe not necessarily this nationally televised, and yes, technically it is, but NBA TV isn't the same as either ESPN, TNT, or ABC. But in any event, it'll be the Bulls' first nationally televised game, and that, of course, will be fun and exciting to watch, as well as also it just being a huge test, given the fact that the Bulls are going to be playing against the super team Brooklyn Nets, who, if you remember, the Bulls didn't see until towards the end of the season last year after a number of players were already injured. Now, the game I'm really going to be on the lookout for is when the Bulls come to the Bay to take on the Warriors, because not only is the game being televised on ESPN, the Bulls will be taking on the Splash Brothers again, but also if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I currently live in the Bay Area, and I have been living here for the past 10 years, and every season the Bulls come to town, I come to see them play against the Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. And since last season, I wasn't able to see them play, given the fact we were in a pandemic and they weren't allowing fans into the stadium. This will be my first time I'll get to see the Bulls live in action in nearly 2 years. So yes, I will be at that game. I may even have to do an Instagram live for you guys just so you can see. The road trip though then starts for the Bulls in mid-November, and that will be a tough one because they kick off their trip against the Warriors, then take on the LA teams, starting with the Clippers, then the Lakers, then they play the Blazers, and finally close it out against the Nuggets. I mean, it's very possible the Bulls could walk away from that road trip with maybe just one win. I don't think that will be the case because, again, I think the Bulls, this Bulls team anyway, is going to be significantly better than they were last season. But these are very strong Western Conference teams, and the Bulls will be facing each of them on the road all tightly together. You're talking about 5 games and 7 nights traveling to all of these locations. That's not going to be an easy task. The next game that I'm looking out for and that I'm excited to see is the Bulls taking on the Knicks at MSG on December 2nd. And really because it's just always fun seeing this team play in the mecca of basketball. And because I can't stand the Knicks and their fan base, and I really just want to see the Bulls dominate them and hope that they walk away with a blowout win. But I also do like seeing Derrick Rose play, so that makes it all the more exciting for me as a Bulls fan. The Bulls will then also be taking on the Nets the following game in Brooklyn. Again, another exciting game just because of the superstar talent that they have on that team. Then the Bulls will be taking on LeBron James and the Lakers at home on December 19th. Always fun seeing the Lakers come to town, especially with the high hopes that they have for that team this season. And of course, seeing Alex Caruso go against his former team, this time in Chicago. Another game I'm going to be looking out for seeing is on MLK Day on January 17th, as the Bulls are finally going to be back on TNT, although it will not be a home game, so we won't be able to see if the Bulls will be able to continue the incredible undefeated streak of home winners for games on TNT. But it'll still be fun nonetheless, since they'll be taking on the young and talented Memphis Grizzlies led by Ja Morant. And I think the battle between Lonzo and Ja going against each other will be incredibly fun to watch. Then the Bulls will be taking on the defending champs for the first time in this season on January 21st. We'll get to see Giannis and, of course, our guy Bobby Portis in action. Then another game worth noting is the Bulls going to San Antonio, where DeRozan will play against his former team for the first time, as well as the Bulls getting to see Thaddeus Young for the first time in a Spurs uniform. Then, on Wednesday, February 9th, the Bulls will be taking on the Hornets in another nationally televised game on ESPN, which of course the league would do, right? Of course we have to see the Ball brothers go head-to-head in a matchup on ESPN, especially now that one of the Ball brothers is in a big market and will finally be good and on a relevant team. And yes, I'm talking about the Bulls, not the Hornets. So be on the lookout for that game. It'll likely be one of the more hyped games of the season for the NBA in general, to see the two Ball brothers go head-to-head, and of course the Bulls going against Michael Jordan's team in Charlotte. Another game I'm actually really excited to see, mainly because you have so many people talking about what a great offseason the Miami Heat have had, and how the signing of Kyle Lauri was one of the best moves made all offseason, while DeRozan was one of the worst. Well, I'm looking forward to the game in which the Bulls will be taking on the Heat on February 28th in Miami, to really show all of the doubters that the Bulls are the team to be taken seriously. And the move for DeRozan was a move that was made this offseason that was going to be significantly impactful, and not the worst move that was transacted throughout this free agency period. And of course, it'll also just be fun to see DeRozan and Lauri go against each other because of their longtime friendship, and Jimmy Butler going up against his former team in the Bulls. Again, I know everyone is expecting the Miami Heat to be a dominant team, a contending team this year because of the free agency moves they made this offseason, and I would love to see the Bulls come to Miami and absolutely handle this team to wake up all of those who have been sleeping on the Bulls. Now, I know most people probably are not going to care about this game as much, but because I will likely be attending this one in Sacramento on March 14th. I'm excited for it because seeing the Bulls play live is always just that much more exciting to me, no matter who they are playing. And you know, the Kings still are a decently fun team to watch. Don't get me wrong, they have guys like De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, and at least for now, they still have Buddy Hield. So it won't be a boring game by any means, but because it's the Kings, obviously, you know, people aren't going to be talking about it as much, but I will be at the game and I will send you guys some live footage. After that, the Bulls will, of course, be taking on some strong teams to close out the season in the Jazz, the Suns, the Bucks, twice actually. They'll play the Clippers, the Heat, and the Celtics. And the second to the last game, the Ball brothers will go against each other one last time, this one in Chicago, before the Bulls close out their season against the Timberwolves. 5 of the Bulls' last 6 games will be at home, which is good if you're the Bulls and you're in a position to close out the season strong to improve seeding, especially if they're trying to get out of the possibility of being included in the play-in if they're jockeying between that 6th and 7th seed spots. So, all in all, I think this is probably the most excited I've been to see the Bulls in this upcoming season, really since the season in which the Bulls acquired Pau Gasol and Rose was going to be coming back healthier than ever, at least that was what the expectation was, and also an up-and-coming Jimmy Butler. There are going to be a lot of fun games to watch. I mean, for me, every game is always exciting, but you know, for the general NBA fan and with the Bulls and their star-level talent, their offensive firepower, their ability to move quickly in transition, 2 human highlight reels in Zach Lavine and DeMar DeRozan, and a pass-first playmaking point guard to feed them lobs on a nightly basis in Lonzo Ball. This is going to be a very fun team to watch, even if you're not a Bulls fan. As it relates to their schedule, you know, I think this is setting up the Bulls nicely in the sense that it's pretty evenly distributed throughout the season in terms of their strength of schedule. Yes, the start of their first week or so will be a pretty easy schedule, and then it toughens up. But unlike last season, where it felt like the Bulls had a compact, very difficult schedule towards the end of the season post-trade deadline, which of course didn't help when Lavine went down with COVID, this year's schedule, first of all, won't be condensed like it was last season, and the games will be more evenly balanced in terms of the difficulty throughout the year. And so I hope the Bulls will use that to their advantage in getting the necessary rest that they need in between games, actually winning games that they should win. Can't tell you how many times the Bulls blew games last season against bad teams. And then the more challenging ones come ready to play, playing hard, not giving up on defense, not getting their heads down when the opposing team goes on the run, fighting for loose balls, playing smart basketball, not turning the ball over. My biggest pet peeve last season with that team. And hopefully, the Bulls will have a strong season, one in which they'll finish above 500 for the first time since 2015. Yes, 2015. You make the playoffs and maybe even make a little playoff run to go into next offseason even stronger to build around this team even further. I want to know what you guys think, though, of the Bulls' schedule. What are some of the games you're excited to see and will be looking out for? Let me know in the comments, and as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.